Welcome back to our community. Susie Thomas visiting with Tisa Strasser. She's the author of Love Never Fails and now a woman speaker. What was that self-publishing process for the person who says, I can't find an agent, I can't find a publishing company, but I know God has called me to write this book?
It's tough. There's a lot of options out there. I basically just knew that what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to order. I didn't want it to be a huge investment. We're frugal, practical people, and I just wanted it to be something that I could, if I needed 50 books, I could order 50 books. If I needed 200, I could order 200. And you know, some of the self-publishing companies require you to order large amounts, or they require a huge investment up front. And I was fortunate to find a publisher in Talmadge, Good Place Publishing, who worked with me, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But do the research. There's lots of options out there.
How do you market it when you do it yourself?
That's the tough part. You call Susie.
Oh, gosh.
I have been doing presentations to pastors' associations and just saying, hey, I got this awesome discipleship tool. It's,
yes.
You know, I really believe that there are some women who are intimidated by the term Bible study, that they feel like, oh, that's for intellectuals and I'm just a normal person and blah, blah, blah. But they like to read novels. So this is the type of thing you can offer for the that type of person, and they will, yeah, sure, I'll come to your class and read a book. Yeah, that sounds fun. It's and especially when it's Love Never Fails. Sounds like a fun romantic book, and there is a little bit of a love story in it. So I've been doing pastors groups and some Rotary groups and some any place, anywhere someone will let me talk about the book, I will.
Isn't it amazing once you write a book, people assume you can speak. And so you become suddenly on everyone's program. Yes. Everyone's got your number at that point.
I will say, too, I had a very busy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Period. Oh, my gosh, that was so fun. I did 4 different Mother's Day banquets. And, you know, I had told everyone I will come and speak. You don't have to pay me. Just let me do a plug for the book and, you know, a short little plug about Love Never Fails. And lots of people took me up on it, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
How many have you sold to date? Do you
400.
know? 400 books. Have you had to do a reorder yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. See, oh, ye of little faith. You didn't think 400. You didn't order that right out of the gate.
No, I didn't.
So were you surprised when you get this most recent call from someone in Columbus that is planning a rather large Assemblies of God Women's Conference? Let's talk about what's happening.
Oh, that was very exciting. I did a major happy dance when I hung up from that call. It's called Time Apart, and it's an Assemblies of God Ohio Ministry Network for Women, and that's who's doing it. And it's in September, the end of September, the 28th and the 29th in Dublin. And they are doing, it's a 2-day event, and they have a main speaker coming in for Friday night and Saturday morning, and then they're having breakout sessions Saturday afternoon, and they want me to do 3 different breakout sessions. Well, it's the same talk, but I'll do it 3 different times, so that women can choose. They'll have like 15 people, and they can choose which 3 talks they want to go to, and go to one at noon, one at 1, and one at 2. And at 3, it's over. So I was thrilled, and you know, I'm going to have a booth there to have it for sale, and I'm going to have the opportunity to speak life into these women. And my topic is going to be putting feet to God's vision for your ministry. And the one thing that the gal that called me from Columbus said was, you know, I've heard your story that it took you 12 years to write this book. So this is not something you did on a whim, but you were sure God wanted you to do it, and you stuck with it. And we just want to encourage our women. Is there something you could share that would encourage them that way? So that's what I've set out to do, and I'm very excited about the opportunity and thankful.
First, you have to discern what is God's vision for my ministry. What's something I just want to do? what's on my mind. What's his vision, and how do you know the difference?
Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
Help me figure that out. What would you say to somebody asking that question? I'm asking for a friend.
I would say pray consistently over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And if it continues to be the desire of your heart, it's probably God. Assuming, of course, it's not contrary to Scripture or, or against the law or anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
But if you're sincerely seeking to do what God wants you to do, He'll continue to open doors in front of you. And He has for me.
Yeah. Why do we assume that God's plan for me is going to be hard and get ready to pack up and move to Africa? Or, why do we assume that that is what He's got in mind when God went to great lengths to what? Give us a miserable life? No. To give us the desires of our heart when we just trust in Him and let everything go to Him. Mm-hmm. And so He's got to be putting those desires in there in the first place, and then He would bring them about. It just makes sense that being glad is part of His purpose, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're good at something and you like to do it, is that a good indicator that perhaps that's what God's calling you to do?
That makes a lot of sense.
How do we put feet to that then, Tisa?
One of the things I plan to share with the ladies is how important it is to have prayer support, to have people that you trust that will not just whisper a 10-second prayer, but somebody that really is invested either in you or the cause that you're working toward, that will labor with you in the heavenlies. Somebody that will have some people behind you that are committed to really supporting you and being there for you. Another thought is to make sure you have the blessing of your coverings.
That's good.
Your husband, your pastor, whoever. That's really important because you just really need to have that. And I was very fortunate. My husband and my pastor and were both very supportive, and I'm thankful.
How do you get over the inevitable person that's going to discourage you from it?
I stay away from them.
I'll see you later.
Yeah. Thanks for your input. Let's go on.
Yeah. Because when you know that you know, then move forward.
Yeah. And, I know there were my poor family members. I'm sure there's plenty of times that I would say something and they would just try really hard not to roll their eyes like, oh, my gosh, she's still on that. Because it was from the time God gave me the storyline till I wrote it was 6 years. And then from the time I started writing to the time I had the book in my hand was another 6 years.
Wow.
So that's like 12 years of everyone having to hear about this.
But you are immersed in it during that time.
Absolutely. And, I don't know if I'll ever write anything else or not, but I know that this is something God wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And, if I didn't, I would have to answer for that someday, And it's like, I really need to do this. Because, once the house started getting a little emptier and my children grew, it's like, okay, now there's no excuse. Got to do it.
Right. Oh, so true. You are somebody who, you've had a very interesting life. You've been involved with ministering to other women for some time. Mm-hmm. In your walk and interaction with other women, what do women seem to be dealing with the most right now?
Oh, I really hate two things when I see it in women, and one is when they compare themselves to each other. Each of them is such a special gift, wrapped up in perfectly as God wanted them to be, and they tend to not see that. They tend to just see, I wish I had their looks, I wish I had their talents, and that is so crippling to a woman, and that's very sad. The other thing is it really bothers me when women are critical of their husbands.
Oh.
It's like,
go with that. That is a tough one.
I mean, none of our husbands are perfect.
and neither are their wives.
No. But I really do not like situations where women get together calling it a prayer meeting or a women's Bible study and it ends up being a man-bashing situation. That is not honoring God. That's not what it's not helping a thing. It's just making things worse. And yeah, if there's a legitimate problems, get help, or see your pastor, see a counselor, get help somehow. But continuing to discourage other women in their marriages isn't what the answer is.
Women's Bible studies, that whole I need to share a prayer request for so-and-so can become a quick gossip session pretty quickly, can it? We need to watch that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Can you touch on women and their tongues?
And I'm probably as guilty as anyone, because it's easy. It's so easy to fall into that. But you really have to be careful and be sensitive when God is saying, whoops, don't go there. Yeah. Listen, because you shouldn't go there, If you were going to write another book, what would it be about? Yeah. Well, there's a devotional idea that I've been tossing around based on the parables. Thought about doing that. Don't know for sure. And I definitely left Love Never Fails, a novel based on truth. I left room for a sequel. Yes. That would be fun. Yes. Take us where, we got a couple minutes. Where would it go next? Well, there's a couple who are starting to fall in love at the end of the book, and I'd have to develop what happens with them. There's an estranged husband and wife that have forgiven each other at the end of the book, and we'd have to figure out what happens with them. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see. How do people get this book, Tisa? Oh, it's on Amazon, and it is also an ebook on Kindle. You can get it that way. I have a Facebook page called Love Never Fails, a novel based on truth, and it's a little bit less there because Kindle doesn't get their cut, or Amazon doesn't get their cut. So go to that Facebook page. There are a couple businesses and 2 churches in the area that also have it for sale. And what are those? Pregnancy Choices, the main center over on 22nd Street near Whipple in Canton, has it. Kim's Cuts and Curls on South Cleveland Avenue, where my mother has got her hair done awesome. For zillions of years. She said, oh, yeah, put some here. Cool. So I did. And 2 churches are High Mill Church of the Resurrection and Louisville First Assembly of God in Louisville. And do you by chance have conference information, how people can sign up and register for that? Or who to call maybe to find some? Just go to the website is probably the easiest way. If you do Time Apart Ohio Ministry Network Women's Conference, if Assemblies of God, just Google and you should be able to find it. Go to the website. It's easy to register right there. Perfect. The book is Love Never Fails. The conference is taking place when again? September 28th and 29th in Dublin, Ohio at Radiant Life Church. Great. And I'm sure if you called the church, they could give you information as well. Sure. Tisa Strasser, thank you so much for all you do in our community. Thanks, Susie. Oh, look at us. Good timing.